Three things I've learned this year. Well, firstly, you can't cheat Mother Nature. Not totally. I'm so envious of those who've got polytunnels and greenhouses just outside their house, and where they can run heating and keep plants growing over winter and in the colder months, and that can include spring too, where plants have their full flush. I've looked around the plot this summer and thought, gosh, everything has come out of my tiny flat. And it's incredible to think that somehow I've managed to propagate, pot on, and get these plants into the ground, growing, without any proper place to propagate anything. And as we all know, we had a very wet June, and that month is one of the major growing months for plants. My peppers and my tomatoes, more importantly, suffered some sort of disease early on in their seedling stage. I had to re-sow those, and it was touch and go whether I was going to have tomatoes at all this year. They all have to grow outside. I don't have a polytunnel or a big greenhouse to put them in. And I was happily surprised. I mean, I spent most of my focus on the tomatoes. They did stress me out quite a lot. They're important to me, which is, I think, why I made the last video about the tomato relish. I was just so proud and so grateful that I had such a harvest. It wasn't as good as last year's, but oh wow, I actually got tomatoes, and I've bottled sauces and made relish, and that was a real tough struggle for me, and to keep everything going as well with a full-time job and a lot of other difficulties, as some might know. I am so utterly grateful for the harvest that I've got this year. But I feel somehow I've failed. But when I look back and I think of the weather conditions that we've endured over the summer, it's that it wasn't just me. My plot neighbours were saying their squash weren't growing, and they were going for, the championships of giant veg over at Malvern, and nothing was taken off. It was just slow, and it was as if the plants knew that, summer was going to be a bit delayed. So anyway, Mother Nature and the weather it's just something that we have to take under our belt as an issue. It can throw the best gardeners. The second thing I've learned is cauliflowers, they've got to have some sort of preparation, big preparation, before you grow them. It would have been a really good year this year for the brassicas, if only I hadn't had my focus elsewhere, time constraints, and just feeling generally like I was running to stand still with all the other things like the tomatoes. I think I might have actually got some decent cauliflowers, but I this year wanted to focus so much this October on preparing the land, the new bed for the brassicas, so that I could really have a good go at cauliflower next year. But at the same time, I know I haven't put the effort into that bed because the weather has just been so... Well, you can't work a swamp. You cannot work swamped land. And I'm going to run this segment into one of my normal videos with music. So you will see the scenery, you'll see the scene of what I've had to put up with. And it's basically, I've picked the days to go where it's been, relatively sunny and hasn't rained those days. They've been very, very rare. But my plot's really suffered. So the third thing is, it's a two-way thing, it's a twofold thing. I really can grow veg. I'm very proud of what I've done learning-wise. I'm very proud of it. Not cocky, just I can do it, and it's given me so much joy. It's just one of those things like, can I do it? Can I do it? I'll give it my best shot, and I do it. I do it. I come home with veg. I harvest veg that I've grown, and each and every one of us, you know, we've it's all relative to us. If we've got anything at all in our lives that is holding us back from doing everything perfect on our plots with our veg, it's still a pat on the back to us. Goodness me, how we pack all these things into our lives. It's incredible that we do so much work on our plots, and we should all be really, really chuffed with ourselves. We always bring home something, don't we? And that's an achievement. That's an achievement, but yet we can always aspire to do better. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about my plot especially, and sort of join hands with anybody else who's in my particular situation with the plot, with the land. I mean, obviously, most plots are patches of urban land, sort of in the city or just outside the outskirts of a town, or but generally around a built-up area. Now, although we've reintroduced the fox, as it were, and creatures do roam and pests do abound, there's something a little different about having a plot rurally, but moreover in the middle of a farmer's market garden, and that's where my plot is. Now, the problem we've got is we're not allowed to fence off our site from the main area. So when the farmer's actually growing his crops from the major pests, of which there's a large population of all of them, we're pretty safe from them because they're off nibbling his huge patches of corn or whatever it might be. But as soon as he harvests, those pests then have elsewhere to look for food, and of course then our plots are prime targets. And when I talk about pests, I'm talking about the bigger ones. I'm talking about whole families of rabbits, huge populations of pheasant, one wandering population of deer. Then we'll have the usual birds that will come and eat. Some are obviously helpful birds. We'll have fox that will just come and maraud around and, you know, break up our structures and things if they get a little bit too. Well, deer do that as well. They will tread through, and you know. And I've worked out that if you're not at the plot either daily or every other day, you're not leaving your scent there. And there's something about the human scent. I think it does act as a deterrent against some of these animals. And because October especially was awful, I mean, all the way into November, the amount of times I actually physically could get to the plot was so few. And we're moving into winter, so all of these animals are looking for food, and they find food. If you've got anything left on your plot going into winter, they're going to come and get your food. And it isn't like the farmer losing 10 cabbages out of his huge half-acre patch of them. If the animals descend on my plot, they'll wipe out whatever I've got there. So again, I think we've all got our issues, our problems. We're all dealing with different things, and these are battles that we have on top of trying to fit things in our daily lives. It's not hermetically sealed. So anybody who doesn't grow, anybody who doesn't have an allotment will be watching our videos, and they'll be wondering why we make such a fuss when we've got perfect veg in our hands. So thanks for tagging me, Woody, and also William from William Coleman's allotment. Woody is Cumbrian Homestead. I love you guys, and hopefully this is just, I know it's a ramble and it's not three things, but hopefully you all enjoy the next segment, which is, like I say, one of my normal vids. Cheerio for now, and thanks for watching.